The board fell fast, faster than she expected. A sharp crack echoed as the broken piece of wood slipped from Mara's trembling fingers, hit the muddy ground, and sent a puff of dust spiraling up around her. She winced, not from the sound, but from the sting of tiny splinters still buried in her skin. Rain clouds hung heavy above the forest clearing, dimming the world into a somber gray that matched the weight inside her chest. For a moment, she just stood there, staring at the fallen board as if it were some quiet symbol of every failure she'd been trying to outrun. The fort she'd been building for her younger brother had collapsed again, the structure too weak, her hands too unsteady, the day too short. She could already imagine the disappointment in his eyes, and that hurt more than her splintered fingers. But then, soft footsteps pressed into the mud behind her. "You okay?" a voice asked gently. It was Ryan, her childhood friend, carrying an armful of new planks he'd driven an hour to bring. His boots were soaked, sweater streaked with dirt, and hair plastered to his forehead, but his eyes held that same quiet steadiness they always had around her. I can't get it right," Mara said, her voice cracking. "I promised Leo I'd have it done before his birthday. I really thought I could do this." She turned away, embarrassed at the tremble in her voice, embarrassed by the broken boards littering the ground. The rain started to fall in thin, cold needles, mixing with the dirt and creating rivulets around their feet. Ryan set the planks down and knelt beside the broken one. "You don't have to get it right alone." Mara swallowed, the words sinking deeper than he probably realized. She hadn't asked for help because she didn't want to burden anyone, especially not now, when everything felt like a battle she couldn't win, losing her job, her mother's illness, the constant tug-of-war between staying strong for Leo and not collapsing entirely. "I should be able to handle this," she whispered. "Even the strongest beams crack if they're carrying too much weight," Ryan replied. "We're fixing this together. One piece at a time." Something inside her softened, not fully, not magically healed, but enough. They worked side by side for hours, their breaths fogging in the cooling air. Ryan steadied the beams while Mara hammered the nails, her hands trembling at first but slowly growing firmer with each strike. When she fumbled, he guided without judgment. When she doubted herself, he reminded her of every step she'd already taken. And as the frame of the fort began to rise again, stronger this time, Mara realized the forest didn't feel as heavy anymore. The rain had eased into a mist that clung softly to the leaves, and the mud no longer felt like something pulling her down but something grounding her. When they finally stopped to rest, Mara sank onto a stump, wiping sweat and rain from her brow. Ryan sat beside her, handing her a bottle of water. "Leo's going to love this," he said. "Not because it's perfect, but because you built it for him." Mara looked at the fort, still unfinished, but undeniably standing, and felt warmth pulse in her chest. "But you helped," she said. "And you asked," he gently corrected. "That's the real victory." The next morning, Leo burst into the clearing, eyes wide, mouth dropping open in pure astonishment. He ran his small hands along the beams, climbed the ladder Ryan had crafted, and shouted from the top, "This is the best birthday ever." Mara watched him, her throat tightening. She felt the sting of yesterday's splinters again, but this time, they reminded her of how far she'd come in just one day. How close she had been to giving up. How one person showing up, one moment of accepting help, had changed everything. That evening, when the sun dipped low and the forest glowed gold, Mara returned to the spot where the broken board still lay half buried in the mud. She picked it up, turning it in her hands. The splintered edges were rough, jagged, imperfect, yet she held it gently, as a reminder of the moment she learned she didn't have to be perfect to keep going. Because the truth was, everyone drops something important at some point. Everyone's hands shake. Everyone feels like a failure on the days when life keeps collapsing around them. But what matters, what truly shapes us, is what we choose to build afterward, and who we allow to help us build it. And if this story reached you, if it reminded you of something you once dropped, or something you're trying to rebuild, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Someone out there might need this story just as much as you did. Keep going. Whatever you're facing, you're stronger than the broken pieces, and you don't have to rebuild alone.